I'm with Josh Reinstein, the director of the Knesset Christian Allies Caucus. Now, Josh, what is the Knesset Christian Allies Caucus?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. The Christian Allies Caucus was established in Israel's parliament, the Knesset, in 2004, in January of 2004, in an effort to reach out to Christian leaders around the world and build a direct line of communication, cooperation, and coordination with them. We wanted to reach out to church leaders, leaders of Christian organizations, and political leaders because we realized that the time was right to forge this new relationship between Jews and Christians in the 21st century.
Now, today, do you have Israeli allied caucuses in parliaments around the world, and what is their role?
Yes, absolutely. We formed the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation, and we have 21 sister caucuses in governments around the world, the largest being the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus in Washington, D.C. And these are caucuses made up of men and women of faith who mobilize support for Israel based on their joint Judeo-Christian values.
And what is the goal of the caucus?
The goal of the caucus is to mobilize political support for Israel based on those values. The reason that Israel is a nation is because God promised this land to us, and God has fulfilled that promise in establishing the modern state of Israel. And people need to understand this. And people of faith are working very hard to promote Israel, to help Israel politically and spiritually in today's times.
And are Christians today supporting Israel, and why do you think they are?
Well, we see a lot of support from Christians around the world, specifically Bible-believing Christians, and the reason they're doing it is because after over 2,000 years, the God has fulfilled his prophecy. He's established Israel as a state. He's done the ingathering of the Jewish people from the east and the west and the north and the south. On the wings of eagles, he brought them back, or airplanes as we call them today. He made the deserts bloom. He made Jerusalem a city of blessing, once again, where children play in the streets of Jerusalem. He made the dry bones that we read about in Ezekiel become a nation in flesh in one day. All these things have come to faith and come to pass, and people of faith understand that this is God's hand. It's a very exciting time to be alive if you believe in the Bible and believe in the God of Israel.
So you really see God in the hand of everything that you're doing here today, even?
Absolutely. I mean, the reason that the Jewish people are back in their land in Israel is because God has done this. This is a promise that he made to the people of Israel over 2,000 years ago, and he's fulfilling it. And you can't deny it. There's no mathematical explanation that would say that the Jewish people would survive every major nation that tried to destroy it and come back to Israel in exactly the same way as it's put out and explained in the Bible.
Do you see the existence of Israel as a miracle today? You know, you look at 1948, really they had so much against them, yet they still survived.
Absolutely. I think David Ben-Gurion said it best, those who don't believe in miracles in the land of miracles aren't realistic. I mean, we've seen miracles every day here. We've been, from the wars that we've won, we haven't won all these wars against 7 invading armies because Jews are great athletes. These are, the blessings of God's, to the very miracle that we can grow produce in incredible numbers and quality in the sand, just like God said that the deserts would bloom. I mean, we're in the middle of the Middle East, and we were able to create a paradise here, really, a beacon of freedom and democracy, an innovative place, the fastest growing Western economy in the 21st century. I mean, it's really a miracle what we've been able to do in just 64 years.
Now, has there been a shift and a greater understanding of Christians coming to support Israel?
Absolutely, and I think that shift started during the time of the Second Intifada, where one by one the nations of the world turned their back on Israel, but Christians stood up with Israel and stood their ground. And we realized that if you put economic agenda ahead of a biblical or a moral agenda, you're not going to support Israel. We have no oil. And if you have a political agenda, you're not necessarily going to support Israel either. We have one vote in the UN compared to many more Arab votes, many more Muslim votes than that. It's only people who put values and beliefs ahead of economic and political concerns that will stand with Israel. And for the most part, that leaves the people of the book, both Jews and Christians, who believe in the Bible.
How many Christians come to Israel here every year?
I believe the official statistics is 1.8 million, but it's by far our fastest growing tourism sector. It's a great place for Christians to come. There's a great slogan in the tourism industry that says, if you like the book, you'll love the country. And I think that makes a lot of sense when you're here walking the streets of Israel and especially Jerusalem.
And why do you think Christians and Jews are beginning to align themselves together?
I think people are understanding that if you believe in the Bible and you're a man and woman of faith, and this is a time where you have to stand together and defend God's covenant. There are many people out there who are against Israel because they're not happy about God fulfilling his prophecies. People who don't believe in the Bible, people who see Israel as a threat because it's proof of God's existence and the existence of the Bible, and that the prophecies are real. So Jews and Christians and men and women of faith are coming together, and there's a war going on out there, a religious war that we've been thrown into, a clash of civilizations, and you can call it the war on terror or whatever you like, but it's really people of faith on one side and others who don't have faith on the other. And that's a simplistic version of it, because of course there are people from atheists to Buddhists who are standing with Israel, who are supporting Israel, but those values that people like about Israel, freedom, democracy, freedom of religion, freedom of movement, gender freedom, those are things that come from a source, and that source is the Bible.
Now, your office is here in East Jerusalem, and this is a very Arab area. Is that strategic for you being here as a light here?
No, look, we have several offices. We have also the offices in the Knesset. We have the offices here for the International Foundation, the Shalom Centre. But again, there is no East and West Jerusalem. There's only Jerusalem. If you want to look at it specifically, there's only one Jerusalem, and that's East Jerusalem. That's where all the altars of our faith are. That's where the old city is. That's where the Western Wall is. That's where the Temple Mount is. That's for Christians where the Garden Tomb is. West Jerusalem is the suburbs. As East Jerusalem grew and more people came, then they grew other neighborhoods in it. But there's only one Jerusalem, and we don't differentiate between East and West. And theoretically, I live in French Hill, which is a Jewish neighborhood, but some people will call that East Jerusalem, but it's not. I mean, it's not a different place. Jerusalem's a very small city, and it's all in one central area.
And how can Christians listening around the world support Israel more?
Well, first of all, I would encourage them to go and join and like our Facebook page, the Knesset Christian Allies Caucus Facebook page. Secondly, those who come to Israel, I think it's important that all Christians come to Israel and make a pilgrimage at least once in their life. And those who come to Israel, that they come and visit the Shalom Centre. We have it here. We open it to groups. And then thirdly, I would say that people need to use their own individual genius, their own abilities to stand with Israel, to make the case for Israel, and to say to the world that the city of Jerusalem is the undivided, united capital of the state of Israel. And that's not because of Camp David, that's because of King David. And God has given this land to the Jewish people, and that's why we're here, and we're not going anywhere.
Now, you just had a special night, and it's a night of honor. What was that about?
We do have a night to honor our Christian allies, and it's really a play on John Hagee's Night to Honor Israel. All year long, Christians are working to support Israel and to help Israel, and we wanted a night here that we can say thank you to our Christian allies around the world, from the government, from the Jewish organizations. So it's very important that once a year we sit down with our Christian brothers and sisters and say, thanks for what you're doing. We really appreciate it, and we want to continue to work together.
And who are you honoring that night, and why?
We do two honors every year. One is a tourism award that we do together with the Ministry of Tourism, which was given to Jürgen Buehler, who's the executive director of the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem. We gave it to him because he's just done incredible work in bringing tourists to Israel. He has the largest tourist event in Israel called the Feast of Tabernacles that brings 7,000 Christians directly to Israel every year. And the other award was given to Daniel Williams, Bishop Daniel Williams, and it's a joint award between the World Jewish Congress and the Christian Allies Caucus of the Knesset. And we gave it to him just because he's been able to bring such masses and the attention of Israel to such masses around the world. He was the chairman of Teen Mania, which is the largest youth organization in the world, and he's been able to put into their curriculum information about Israel and bring Israel to the youth. He's also was, the head of a denomination of churches where he had them move their seed from Rome to Jerusalem, which is a huge accomplishment. So he's been very supportive of Israel, and we just wanted to honor him here in Jerusalem.
And what about you personally, as a Jew? Why are you bridging the gap between Jews and Christians?
Well, I'm a Jew who believes in the Bible. I'm a practicing Jew, and I know that the nations are supposed to come up to Jerusalem, and I know that this is God's will, that people of the Bible will come together and defend his land. I think there's a place for all religions here in Jerusalem. But more practically, I see that there are hundreds of millions of people out there that love Israel, and I want to help to coordinate them to funnel that support to Israel and by turning that support into political support. And that's really what I want to do. I'm here to serve Israel and to do my best to mobilize support for Israel.
And what's your prayer for this special relationship?
Well, I just pray that it grows and that mutual trust on both sides grow as well. This has not been an easy relationship to begin because of past transgressions and a very dicey history. But I see Jews and Christians coming together, and I think that this is the first time that Jews and Christians have come together since we parted ways over 2,000 years ago. And I'm reminded of a verse in Ecclesiastes by King Solomon. To every time there is a season and a purpose under heaven. And I believe the 21st century has brought a new season upon us. And no one of faith with eyes to see can doubt that we have a grand purpose under heaven before us and that the time is now. So my blessing is that this relationship strengthens and continues to build throughout the years in defense of God's land.
Now, you have a website for people who'd like to know more. What's your website?
Yes, we have a website. It's www.cac.org.il. It's under renovations right now, so the best way to get in touch with us is through the Facebook page and to follow what we're doing, but we'll be revamping the website and launching it again as well.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much.
Thank you, and look forward to being on the show next time.